Close your eyes and imagine Old Trafford on a quiet evening. The floodlights off, the stands empty, but the history still alive. For over 26 years, one man stood at the heart of this place, guiding, shouting, celebrating, and believing. His name was Sir Alex Ferguson. Tonight, we tell his story. A tale of challenges, triumphs, and the players who became legends under his watch. A story that begins in 1986, the arrival. In November of that year, Alex Ferguson arrived from Scotland. He had made a name for himself at Aberdeen, breaking the dominance of the mighty Rangers and Celtic, even beating Real Madrid in a European final. But Manchester United was a different world. When he walked into Old Trafford, the club was struggling. Liverpool were the kings of English football, while United were far behind. The players enjoyed nights out, long drinks after training, and an easy life. Ferguson changed everything. He demanded discipline. No more late nights, no more excuses. Some players resisted, but Ferguson was unshakable. The results did not come right away. In fact, things got worse before they got better. Fans grew restless. By 1990, many wanted him gone. But United's directors stood by him. And then, the tide turned. The first trophy. That spring, United reached the FA Cup final against Crystal Palace. It was a dramatic game, a 3-3 draw that went to a replay. In the second match, young Lee Martin scored the winning goal. Manchester United had won the FA Cup. Ferguson had his first silverware. It was small compared to what would come later, but it was the foundation of everything. Cantona and the first title. 2 years later, Ferguson brought in a player who would change the club forever, Eric Cantona. He was stylish, mercurial, with his collar turned up and an air of confidence. He gave United something they had been missing: swagger. In 1993, Cantona helped United win the league title for the first time in 26 years. Imagine the joy. Old Trafford roaring, fans in tears, generations waiting for this moment. It was more than a trophy. It was the rebirth of a giant, the kids and the belief. In the years that followed, Ferguson trusted his instincts. When others clung to experienced players, he looked to youth. Ryan Giggs, quick and dazzling on the wing. David Beckham, striking the ball with precision. Paul Scholes, quiet but brilliant in midfield. Gary Neville and his brother Phil, loyal and determined. This group became known as the Class of '92. Together, they gave United energy, creativity, and a spirit that could not be broken. Critics said you couldn't win with kids. But Ferguson believed, and soon the kids proved everyone wrong. The treble. Then came the season of dreams, 1998 to '99. United chased 3 trophies at once: the Premier League, the FA Cup, and the Champions League. They pushed through exhausting matches, dramatic comebacks, and fierce rivals. On the final day of the league, they triumphed. In the FA Cup final, they lifted the trophy again, and then came the Champions League final in Barcelona. Trailing Bayern Munich 1-0 as the game entered stoppage time, hope seemed lost. But United never gave up. First, Teddy Sheringham scored to equalize. Then, seconds later, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer poked the ball into the net. In the space of a heartbeat, history was made. United had completed the treble, something no English team had ever done. Ferguson, overwhelmed, whispered the words still remembered today. Football, bloody hell. New rivals, new battles. In the 2000s, United faced new challenges. Arsenal under Arsene Wenger were magnificent with their Invincibles season. Chelsea, under Jose Mourinho, were powerful and rich. Manchester City began to rise with new ownership. But Ferguson was never afraid of rebuilding. He brought in Ruud van Nistelrooy, a goal machine. He added Rio Ferdinand at the back. And then came two players who would light up Old Trafford for years, Cristiano Ronaldo and Wayne Rooney. The Ronaldo and Rooney years. Ronaldo arrived as a skinny teenager, full of tricks and dazzling footwork. Under Ferguson's guidance, he became the best player in the world. Rooney, fiery and fearless, gave United goals and passion. Together with Giggs, Scholes, Ferdinand and Nemanja Vidic, they formed one of the greatest teams Ferguson ever built. From 2007 to 2009, United won 3 league titles in a row. In 2008, they captured another Champions League crown, beating Chelsea in a rainy night in Moscow. Ronaldo cried tears of joy. Giggs became United's record appearance holder. And Ferguson smiled, proud of yet another dynasty, discipline and loyalty. But behind the trophies were the stories of discipline and loyalty. Ferguson was known for his fiery temper, the famous hairdryer treatment. Players feared his wrath when standards slipped. When David Beckham's focus turned toward fame, Ferguson made a tough choice, selling him to Real Madrid. When Roy Keane publicly criticized the team, Ferguson ended his captain's career at Old Trafford. It was ruthless. But Ferguson's rule was clear. No player would ever be bigger than the club. And yet, he could be kind. He sent handwritten letters to players who suffered injuries. He visited their families. He protected them from criticism in public, even when he was furious behind closed doors. It was this mix of steel and warmth that made players give everything for him. The final chapter. As Ferguson grew older, rivals grew stronger. In 2012, Manchester City snatched the league title in the final seconds of the final day. It was heartbreak for United. Many thought Ferguson might retire then. But he wasn't finished. He came back for one last season. He signed Robin van Persie, who scored goal after goal, lifting United to the top again. In 2013, Ferguson's United won the league title, his 13th. That May, he stood before the fans at Old Trafford and announced his retirement. With tears in his eyes, he thanked them and urged them to stand by the next manager. The stadium sang his name, knowing they were witnessing the end of an era. Legacy. Ferguson left with 38 trophies. But more than that, he left memories. The roar of the crowd after Solskjaer's winner. The sight of Giggs sprinting down the wing. The free kicks of Beckham. The goals of Ronaldo. The grit of Keane. The elegance of Scholes. He built not one great team, but many. He rebuilt again and again, and always found a way to win. He turned boys into legends. He gave fans belief, week after week, year after year. Closing reflection. And so, as we look back on Ferguson's reign, it feels like a story told in chapters, each filled with magic. From the struggles of 1986, to the treble of 1999, to the last title in 2013. For over 26 years, Manchester United under Sir Alex Ferguson was more than football. It was hope. It was drama. It was glory. A story of discipline and dreams. of setbacks and comebacks, of greatness that will never be forgotten. Close your eyes now and drift off with the story of Sir Alex Ferguson's Manchester United still echoing softly, like the cheers of Old Trafford on a night of victory.